Should you leave your relationship? This is such an important question to ask, but it's also such a difficult question. To admit that you're actually asking the question is really hard because the fact you're asking it means that you're aware that there are problems in your relationship and you probably don't want to acknowledge the full picture of what might actually be going on. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a structure to assess the health of your relationship and connection with your partner from the ground up. And I want you to stick around to the very end of the video because if you go through this process step by step, you will finally have the clarity you need to know for sure whether this relationship is right for you and worth the effort, time, and energy you're putting in. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Amy and I help women in toxic dating and relationship cycles heal their past and connect to their worth so they can create the healthy, secure, and loving relationship they desire. And if you want more content on this topic, be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button so you get notified when I post new videos twice a week. Now, before we begin, I want to announce that a few spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me for the Love by Design program. Make sure you stick around to the very end of the video for the announcement on how to sign up for that. So this is one of the most heartbreaking questions we can ask ourselves, because in the very act of asking it, we're acknowledging to ourselves a lack or a gap between where we want to be and where we currently are. It takes real courage and bravery to ask this question honestly to ourselves, and I want to honor you that you're even listening to this video, watching this video, and you've clicked on it. It means that there is some internal confusion or haziness around what is the level of acceptable trouble in a relationship and where is that line where I should really consider leaving. But having the courage to ask these questions and be vulnerable with yourself is actually the way we build healthy relationships with ourselves and in our lives. We don't just connect with someone and then bury our head in the sand. We need to take all of this situation into account, all of our values, desires, and preferences for a fantastic relationship, and of course theirs too, and then see where the gap is, where we currently are and where we want to be and why we're not quite there yet. And that's okay, because great relationships are something that we build together with a partner who's willing over time. So the real question is your partner a good builder? Do you both bring out attributes in each other that are conducive to building this great relationship you want? So one way to assess this is to look at what you've currently built together in your relationship. And yes, we are going to go with this building metaphor because creating a great relationship happens over time, not just straight away. And if we look at it as a work in progress, being co-created and built by two people together, we can start to make changes to improve and tweak the quality of the build. Or we can better see the significant cracks in the foundation of the relationship that tell us it might be time to leave. Now, the reason it's so difficult to make these assessments about our relationship is simply because we are in it. Our emotions are tied to this situation, to this person, and all of the stories we create around our present and our future. These can all really cloud our judgment in making this assessment. If you've ever taken a break in a relationship and found those few weeks or months to really shine a light on some harsh truths about the relationship, you'll know what I'm talking about. If only we could have that kind of clarity when we're in the relationship and having all of those feelings for this person. So that's why I've chosen this metaphor today, because we're going to take a step back and assess your relationship from a bird's eye view. There are 5 stages of building a relationship house, and regardless of where you're at in your relationship, we can survey wherever you're at in order to assess the general health of your house from the foundations up. The first stage is the decision to come together and start the relationship. How healthy was this decision you made? Were you in a great place before you met them, and meeting them, dating them, and going into a relationship all added value to your life that was already great without them? Or did you date them because you felt lonely or you had some lack of self-esteem and they really made you feel good about yourself? If you weren't in a healthy place at this first building stage of the relationship, your insecurities and lack of self-esteem can be problematic for your partner. If they are always needing to validate your self-worth, it can also undermine the individual agency that you need to have in the relationship, as your partner also does, so that you can both equally contribute to the strength of what you're building. Also, look at whether they were in a great place at the start of the relationship or not. How long had it been since they'd been single before you'd met them? Was it a short time or a long time? Did they seem secure in themselves and happy and well balanced when you started dating? Or was there some sort of lack there that you notice you're having to make up for in your partner? Are you with them because you like to do this, to be a rescuer and have a project relationship? Now, if you do, I have a video here on those dynamics that can play out when we're dating that you can look into in more detail if you suspect there might have been an imbalance at this early stage. There is always strengths and weaknesses in both partners that complement each other. So I'm not suggesting you need to be equal in any way. The compatibility piece here is more that you were both showing up as individuals that were secure in yourself and confident to work together and bringing out the strengths in both of you to create something fantastic. Overall, choosing to come together to start a relationship is that metaphorical staking out the land for both of you to start building. There needs to be a balance of energy coming from both of you at this beginning stage. So if you felt that there was any kind of lack or problematic behavior during this time, or a complication like cheating, that's going to be something to really consider in the overall health of what you're building and whether it's actually worth keeping on going or it's time to stop, because it really does affect the foundation of what we're creating here. The second stage then is really where the foundations start getting laid. And you could call this the honeymoon phase. This is the time where we let the chemicals in our body do their thing to glue us together and form a bond that will come in real handy down the road. So look at how long your honeymoon period lasted. How long was it before you had your first disagreement or argument? So the average period of time here is kind of around 5 or 6 months. Anything less than that, significantly less, say only 1 or 2 months, might be cause for concern. That bond that's supposed to solidify and form the foundation of your relationship really hasn't had time to be established. And you might circle back and look at the first stage of the relationship and how healthy things were when you first decided to start the relationship. So we've looked at the lay of the land and the foundation of the relationship in the honeymoon stage, and now we're going to actually look at the building process, because up until now, we haven't really had to put the work into the process. Hopefully you've put in some work into choosing the kind of partner for you in that compatibility part when dating. And if you want to know more about that, I have a video on that right here. But we're actually starting to build the relationship house now, because we're at the end of the honeymoon phase. We've had our first argument or disagreement, and we can get some clarity now on the first cracks that are starting to show in the house. Now, in relationship, everything is not going to be perfect. No house is free of cracks, quirks, and little things that are going to be a bit broken. So we need to know that this is normal, and this is the time to really get a sense of reality of how compatible we are with this person to be building the house based on their flaws, your flaws, and these metaphorical cracks that have appeared. So look at what your main concerns here now are about your partner. Minor concerns might be that they don't look after their health as well as you like, they're not sleeping well at night, or they don't have great boundaries with their family, or they aren't showing you love in your language, they show it to you in their language. These are minor concerns that need to be recognized and addressed at some point down the line. Major concerns or red flags need to be acknowledged at this stage as soon as possible. If you don't feel confident raising them with your partner, you might consider raising them with a therapist or a counselor who can help you better communicate what your boundaries are around them. So examples of major concerns might be more obvious things like any form of abuse or cheating, including emotional cheating, like they're not fully over a past relationship and might not be as invested in the relationship as you, or less obvious major concerns, but they are equally as important, like lack of support. You're not feeling fully accepted, safe, or loved by being yourself. Perhaps your partner is complaining about significant aspects of your personality that you're loved for by your friends and family. or trust is starting to be eroded away, which can happen when we don't feel we can be ourselves and still be loved, or simply by your partner not following their words through with actions. Reliability in your partner is a major concern, as this can erode away trust, which is essential in a relationship. Equally as important here is to look at your own behavior. Be really honest with how you're acting in the relationship. And it's not that it's your partner making you do things in a certain way at all. It's that the general climate of the relationship and the way you interact together and your compatibility may be bringing out not so good attributes in yourself, or bringing out the worst in you. If that's going on, it is so important to recognize it and to know it's not necessarily your partner's fault or your fault. You may be bringing in unhealthy past patterns and beliefs and habits from your past and past relationships, or even your childhood. And it's just simply time to talk with a therapist or counselor about these behaviors in yourself you're concerned by. Therapy as a couple at this stage is also a fantastic idea, because honestly, 6 months down the track, you're more grounded in reality and a professional can help you both with this building process. So you don't find yourself a few years down the line that what you've been trying to build now has serious problems in it. You've both contributed to these problems even more, whereas if you got professional help, you could have started to build in a more healthy way. So at this point, you're making an assessment of the health of what you've built so far in the first 5 or 6 months, ideally. At this point in time, you need to look at the building from a bird's eye point of view and ask these questions honestly and vulnerably of yourself and with your partner. What are the major concerns, the minor concerns? How do you want to resolve them and work through them? And what is your partner willing to do or not do to work through them as well? So consider this an early building inspection report. You might have discovered a major concern or two that isn't going to actually be a problem now until later down the line. But awareness is really the purpose of this stage. So you've started to build your relationship house, you know the inherent cracks and flaws and quirks, and you're actually now laying down brick by brick the structure itself. Relationships are really built during this time. The day-to-day processes, the way you argue and how you repair and resolve from arguments. Do you come to a resolution together as a couple and use that glue of your bond to keep building? Or does one or both of you carry resentment and weeks or months pass and you haven't repaired what happened? What do your arguments look like? Gottman's Four Horsemen of the Relationship Apocalypse is a great analogy here to assess how healthy you are arguing as a couple. If your arguments or power struggle contains criticism, defensiveness, contempt, or stonewalling, these are elements that mean what you're trying to build together as a couple is being seriously undermined by unhealthy patterns in one or both of you. So make sure you yourself are not engaging in any of these factors, and then assess if your partner is or not. The presence of any of these elements is at the very least a sign that you need to go get couples counseling to see if these patterns and issues can be resolved. And of course, at the very worst, if your partner is stonewalling you, even unintentionally, or being consistently defensive when you try and raise issues with them, or you suspect that they hold contempt for you or any part of your life, or are critical of you, they are all major red flags that your house is going to crumble unless you do something about it now with them on board. On the other end of the spectrum, healthy conflict has a very respectful but assertive tone about it. There is an open communication here. Both partners articulate how they feel respectfully but honestly. And there's a compromise, and the whole scenario is really underwritten by care and love. And you feel that from your partner. Healthy conflict is a real art form, and it takes time to learn and practice. So if 10% of the time you two are arguing in a not healthy way, it's not time to give up. It's only if there's a really consistent unhealthy pattern in your conflict over months that's not resolvable when you try to work it out together or with a professional. So chances are you are somewhere in this building stage, and you might now realize that there is some work and reflection to be done in your relationship. Or if you're single, some patterns of your own that you need to reflect on. There is one last stage to this house though, which is the roof, right? What you're working towards as a couple, your goals, where you see yourselves together in 5, 10, or 20 years. What kind of roof do you want to put on this house you've been building this whole time? It's so important to make sure that you're both on the same page here. What does a committed long-term relationship actually look like for both of you? Marriage, no marriage, kids, no kids? Where are you living? Are you apart? Are you together? Have this conversation sooner rather than later so that you know the effort you're putting in during this building process is going to have the kind of roof, the kind of end goal that you want to have in your relationship. That is really the point to this work, to this process, and the time you take to build a relationship slowly and consciously over time. So be sure to have this conversation and make sure you're both on the same page. And if at any point you were on the same page and perhaps you're not now, address that and make your own decision about how much you can compromise or not as soon as you can. Now, knowing what your relationship house looks like, however it looks like right now, I want you to take a big step back, step out of the house and look at it from a bird's eye view, knowing what you know. Would you be happy for a close friend to be in this house? Or would you be telling them it's not right for them? You're not happy and it's not your fault, it's not your partner's fault. It's just how the two of you come together and build a house that doesn't work. Right? This is the kind of perspective you need to give yourself. This is really tough to do, and honestly, I recommend doing it with a friend who knows you well. But the more honest and transparent you can be with yourself about the quality and health of what you're building, the better off you'll be in your future. Because sometimes experiencing what you don't want gets you a little bit closer to what you do want. It's in the experiencing of the unhealthy dynamics and patterns that we learn more about how to show up as healthy partners in a future relationship, and even as healthy individuals to our sense of self. And if we abandon ourselves in this relationship, then we can change that. By experiencing what we don't want, we get clarity on what we do want and what we do need as human beings to go through this process. It's a lifelong process of building this relationship house with, one brick at a time. So this has been a big video, and I hope the metaphor hasn't gotten too tiring, but there is so much more to building a healthy, secure relationship. And if you want to learn the exact 3-step process on how to go from an insecure and anxious relationship to feeling secure and healthy and really build this relationship house you desire, you can click the link right above my head or down below this video. You can also interact with me on a more personal level in my free Facebook group, Love by Design. There is also a link for that below. And like I said, a few spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult. You can apply for that in the link in the comments below as well. And please, if you have any questions or points that you need me to clarify, anything you want to ask, please leave a comment down below this video. I'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to interacting with you in the comments. And if you found this video helpful and valuable, then click the like button. It will really help me out and this channel out. And also subscribe for more content like this one. In the meantime, here are some great next step videos for you to watch so you can move one step closer to an incredible relationship with yourself and the partner you desire. For now, I will see you in the next video.